Guess we still don't have a ton of people into Cosmic just yet. Alright. Lost the coin flip. That's fine. See, it's medium. It's a keep. We'd like to hit a ivory pawn or ebony pawn or a ghost blade duelist. Their shard's a good pickup. I'm going to go ahead and lead on this for blood. Does mean we're not going to be able to play fireball until 4. But we probably don't want to play fireball till 4 anyways. Hopefully our opponent is playing the Diamond Sapphire control deck. The Clash Control is a pretty good matchup for this. Okay, that's a wild shard. So maybe an Ardent build. I know some of the folks are playing Ardent configuration. So you have a Might Singer here. So wild, base wild, I'd assume, if you're trying to get to 5 wild thresholds. Alright, so we're going to have Fireball online on 4, which is good. The question is this is like the most important question you can always figure out in your Yodel deck is it worth it to spend one of your burn spells that could go to their face to kill one of their cards? And like the question you have to ask yourself is using this 3 damage card on his Might Singer or his or her Might Singer going to give me enough additional draw steps to make up for the 3 damage I spent on his troop versus sending it to the dome? And I think the very first troop here, it's probably worth killing. I think this is probably going to deal enough damage to me, especially if he works up the wild thresholds that I'm not going to be able to. That I'm not going to be able. That I'm going to be able to make up the 3 damage I spent on this. Another Might Singer, sure. Alright, so what am I doing here? Definitely playing the Ruby Shard. The question is, am I jamming a Whirling Brutalizer down their throat? I feel like they don't want to trade, and even if they do want to trade, I'm okay with that trade, so I'm just going to go ahead and play this and attack. Yeah, so it was a free 3 points of damage. I kind of don't want them to block, but I'm pretty medium happy either way. I wonder if I'm playing around Krakasor. Opponent's playing a deck that's a bit of a brew, so not quite sure what cards I'm playing around out of my opponent here. Yeah, the 1 blood shard doesn't seem stellar, so this is going to be huge starting next turn. This has flight and ramp, okay. Now the question is, can I race everything my opponent has going on here? We're definitely playing this out for Ruby this turn, so now... Oh, that was almost devastating. We're definitely playing this out for Ruby. So now we have to count and figure out how dead is our opponent on a scale of 1 to dead. So we're definitely activating this. And let's assume I fireball their dome for 4, and then this hits them for 3. They're down to 13. And then this hits them for 3. They're down to 10. And then next turn I attack for 2, deal 4, so they're dead. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and send this fireball upstairs. I'll see, they may or may not block with this Runear Hierophant here. The devastating thing would be is if my opponent has a Balthazar or a Croc next turn. We can beat a Croc by drawing an appropriate piece of burn off the top of our deck. We probably can't beat a Balthazar, though. Alright, takes that trade there. So I think I'm supposed to play the Nightmares out here and just hope he doesn't have a Balthazar next turn. If he doesn't have a Balthazar and doesn't have a way to interact with this Nightmares, we're going to go ahead and kill him on our next turn here. If we would have been on the play this game, our opponent would have died before they even got to this turn. So here's hoping for no Balthazar. Didn't attack with that, so this is probably a Balthazar. This is unfortunate. I just don't think we could play around that card. No, nothing. Okay. Well, attack for 2. They have a repel. Interesting. Okay. That's unfortunate. So they were able to kill our guy because they had a piece of interaction, and then we drew a We drew a 6th shard, so it looks like we are just dead. I could... I mean, I guess I'm taking these and spending them on here, which doesn't feel good. We're very likely not winning this game. But, you know, this is better than being dead next turn. Gargolith in hand. Yep. All right. So if we would have just hit one of our many, if we would have had a Fireball or a Cremate or another Whirling Brutalizer, even an Ebony Pawn that turn, we would have been able to kill our opponent. So with the burn deck, you want to cut all of your Ghostblade duelists against anything that has wild in it because they generally have Clucks and Karns post reserves. Extra Burning Tendrils sounds great. Yeah, I like to bring in the burns and just bring in that last burn and cut a Nightmares. I like this configuration. So really, we drew 50% resources that game, and it was, you know, really close at the end there. If we'd have been on the play, we definitely would have won, having drawn 50% resources. And on the draw, we're just one piece of action short. So let's go ahead and get a sweet hand on the play here. Yeah, Sands Medium. It's got Infusion Device and Burning Tendrils. That's not the worst. We'd like an enabler for Whirling Brutalizer, a Pawn, or an Arena Regular, but Tendrils and Brutalizer are perfectly fine keeps. Brutalizer is just such a messed up card. This card's so powerful. So whenever this card attacks, it deals 2 damage to each opposing champion troop that already took damage that turn. So if you have your champion activation, it does 3 to anything that's already taken damage. Fireball, that's not bad. Let's go ahead and play this out. I'm just going to go ahead and cremate this. I think it's worth slowing down their acceleration. Again, the question you have to ask yourself is spending this 2 damage on his troop going to buy me at least 2 damage worth of cards, and I think on average it does. An opponent kept 1 shard hand. All right, so that sounds like it was excellent, killing the Brave. Hashtag always burn the Brave. I'm going to go ahead and play. I'm actually going to get a 2nd Blood with this, and the reason why I'm getting 2nd Blood as opposed to 3rd Ruby is that every shard in my deck, except for the 1 Blood shard, makes Ruby, whereas only some of them make Blood. Winged Nazgul, 2nd month of Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you very much for the continued support. I do appreciate it. Welcome back. Opponent very lucky, hit their shard that turn. Go ahead and activate my champion power, and then just Burning Tendrils this dork. So that kills his troop and then does 3 to him since I activated my champion power. Brutalizer trigger does 3. Brutalizer hits for another 3. Arena Regular. So what am I doing here? I think it's just Arena Regular, burn this, attack. Yeah, I think so. Just going to go ahead and burn this. I'm not going to use my champion power just yet. I don't think we really need to jam that. He can't croc us until 2 turns from now, so I'm fine just playing another troop out here. Oh, did I forget to make it public? I made it private because I played this in the showdown when I was trying to double queue. I will make it public now. Fixed. It is public. Alright, and then my opponent is dead on board, so we'll go ahead and now he's really dead. So opponent didn't concede to being dead on board, so I'm going to go for the overkill here. Take that. Take that. Play this. Attack with my nerds. Or our triggers dead. Alright. Think I'm happy with how I boarded. I may or may not want these Ember Spire Witches. They're a little clunky. I could see them I'm gonna butcher this name. I'm sure I butchered it plenty of times before. Aradile with the 513 sub. Thank you for the continued support. I do appreciate it. I could see the Ember Spire Witch being better than these Nightmares, especially if he's on the Clux plan. I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of this card. It just like always dies, and like the fact that it doesn't stop life gain from Carnosaurs is so miserable. Yeah, I think I don't even know if I want this card in my reserves, to be honest. I think I'm just gonna submit like this. Okay, game on the draw. This hand's a little medium. Should I mulligan for a burn or brutalizer? The resources are functional in this hand, though. I'm going to keep this. I've got 12 points of burn, 12, 16 points of burn, technically. ALM Quick with the Twitch Prime resubscription. Thank you for that. I appreciate the support. Has the Brave on... Was that all 3 games he had Brave on 1? Burn. Right, sorry. Play this. Play this. Probably going to have to spend one of these on whatever his first play is here. Yeah, that card's definitely worth killing. And killing it with Cremate sounds great. Quick deal 2. So now the question becomes, I definitely want to use this to get my next blood, but I might want to be able to play this fireball. Nah, we need to play the fireball till 4 is probably fine. You'll need to refresh your Twitch chat before the emotes will work for you after you subscribe. It is 100% true deceased. Master Moss, sure. And I think we're just going to take this opportunity to start doming my opponent here. So we've got Crackling Bolt Chew, Cremate Chew for 7 total. Just going to try and race. So we've got, how many points of damage here? We've actually got them almost dead, right? This is 4, 8, 12, 16, 19. So we just need to run off a couple of draws. Shoot you. And now they're at, we've got 12 points and they're at 16. And this will give us a little bit of life to buffer our life total a bit. What you got? Just run the croc out, sure. Alright, so definitely playing this. So this is 12, 15 points of damage. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, I think we're just on the dome them plan and then hope to peel next turn. Yeah, it seems fine. It's very possible I should have... It's possible I should have left... No, that's not true. Definitely want to play the resource out. So we want to hit like a burn or a cremate or a fireball next turn to kill them. That's unfortunate. So probably, again, it's unfortunate to lose the coin flip. If you're playing an aggressive deck, winning every coin flip's a good plan. Alright, so pawn is going to come up a little bit short here. We can do 7, so we'll just take the easy way out. Whatcha! that. We won a coin flip. We're against Shoku. Unfortunately, have to mulligan this one shard hand because it is a well that doesn't make thresholds. Unfortunately, have to mulligan this one shard hand and begrudgingly keep a 5. No, the comment on prioritizing the infusion device is definitely true. I don't think we can afford to spend any of our cards killing his troops when we've mulliganed to 5, so we just need to go ahead and pass the turn here. One of the things I like to do when playing the Yodel deck is make sure that every one of our activations gets us at least 2 additional points of damage, so I don't like to spend it just to get 1 extra point in most of the time, unless it's a lethal point, obviously. Shoku, Underworld Crusader, interesting. So that's actually pretty good for us, because this is going to die and then deal 2 extra to them. So I'm going to play this for our second blood, so our infusion device is online. And I think I just want to play the Ebony Pawn out here and start poking at him. If we can afford to take 1 hit from this. Shoku also doesn't have a ton of starting health, which is something to take note of. It does not take a lot to race them. So by getting this Ebony Pawn into play, we get one of our steady sources of damage. And then, oh, don't be too scary. Create 1 or more cards. This creates 2 Dreadlings now? Am I understanding that correctly? Okay. So we're taking 6 here down to 13. So next turn we will... Next turn we'll activate Yodel. Fireball's not an awful draw. We need another Ruby Threshold now, though. So we'll go ahead and activate this for 2. And then Burning Tendrils is really good with Yodel because it does a 4th point of damage. This does 4 here and then 3, and then he loses 2 from the activation there. So if we hit a Ruby next turn, our opponent's dead, right? 4, 8, 10. Nope, 1 short. That's unfortunate. Might just be a day of being 1 turn slow. So that's really unfortunate. It's going to kill our infusion device, which removes our ability to race. Yep. I'm going to take 6 here down to 7. Burning Tendrils. Arena Regular. So... have to spend one of our pieces of removal killing one of his guys, which does not feel good. I'm going to do that, take the pawn out. Killing the infusion device was good on my opponent's part there, because that was going to allow us to buy an extra turn in the race. By kicking our life total up to 7. Is there Balthazar in my future? So if we draw a Ruby, we can deal 8 to our opponent next turn. Alright, so we should just be dead here. Yep, looks like it. I feel like my opponent's deck isn't super likely to have a bunch of Clucks and Karns, so I think I'm going to leave the Ghost Blades in on the play, which might be a mistake, but that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to bring in all the burns to kill the Rabbits and the Howling Braves and those other littler guys. Yeah, Infusion Device is very powerful. It's one of the better cards in the deck for sure. Yeah, seems pretty reasonable. I'll go ahead and keep. Opponent's turn to mulligan. I'll go ahead and play this out for Ruby here on 1. So one of the things that this iteration of the deck doesn't have that the older ones had, we used to always play Crackling Vortex. We could afford a couple of shardless shards. Now that we are trying to leverage the power of Fireball that has a triple Ruby requirement, we really can't play shardless things anymore. Rogue Psychist with the 213 sub. Thank you for the continued support, mate. I do appreciate it. Oh, our opponents are just gonna play Howling Brave on 1 against us every game today, I guess. No, let's just get our Ebony Pawn out here and start ticking it up. Hopefully run some shards off here. Probably a Monsoon. Would love a shard, non-slow shard so we can kill this. Hey yo, I say hey yo, gonna light your brave on fire. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and activate this now. Gets us at least, it gets us 2 points of damage off of, it gets us an extra point of damage off of this, and gets us an extra point of damage off of this. Like I said, anytime I get 2 activations out of, or 2 points of damage out of my Yodel activation, I'm pretty happy with it. Yep, Might Singer. So if this is a Monsoon, we don't want to kill that. Shards. Alright, Whirling Brutalizer. I think I'm going to save that for next turn. I'm just going to play these 2 guys out. If we see a Cluck or a Karn out of him, we're going to board these out for the 3rd game. Has Glucodons. That's really unfortunate for us. And this is why you should board these out against most wild decks. He's got Crusaders in his deck on top of all the other BS, so I figured maybe he didn't have that. I can't block here because this is likely a Monsoon. It's actually kind of unfortunate I can't kill this either if this is a Monsoon, because then this will come back into play. Alright, Blood Infusion Device gives me a charge at least. Man, it's been a rough day so far. That's very possible. That's what the one deck was doing. He has Karns as well. Okay, so it has Clucks and Karns. So we're just gonna die, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, unfortunate we don't have the 3rd Ruby Thresher, but I guess if this is a Monsoon, so it just doesn't matter. Alright, let's try one more with Yodel before we go do something else. Yeah, I should just go with my gut and always board out the Ghost Blades. I don't know if the Ghost Blade being something else would have allowed us to win that game having missed our 4th shard, but it's possible. Waiting to queue, waiting to queue. Hi ho, the Cheerio, waiting to queue. I don't even know that the casualties are in the board for whatever. The casualties are in the board mostly for vampires. I hate there's such a real cost to boarding in cards that don't actually kill your opponent in a deck like this. It's like the Path to Exile and Modern Burn conundrum. Like I know a lot of people that play like Modern Burn like religiously that will tell you you should just shouldn't have Path to Exile in your board. I killed my dork. All right. Hey, lucky, lucky, lucky. Play my regular. Winning the coin flip was good. It's a good time to do that. Good time to draw a shard too. True professional will draw blood threshold next turn. Gosh, all my guys are just dying. My orc men and ghost blade women. Is that a man? It might be a man. I don't know. Can't tell. Look at that. Never didn't have it. Sometimes you just look at your hand and you're like, yeah, I'm feeling it. Let's go. Baby Yurdy is here. Okie-doke. Send it upstairs. Mama Yeti's gonna come down to destroy us. Mama Yeti's really the card that we can't just can't keep up with. Like the damage output from that card is too efficient. Hopefully we hit a blood threshold here so we can go Shard, Champ Power, Fireball, Nightmares. I'll take a Ghost Blade. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and spend my resources here. Don't want to get too gummed up on that. Probably a Burning Tendrils in the future for this Ghost Blade. So opponent's at 11, and if we hit a blood shard, we actually have 11 points in hand here. This is 4, 8, 11. Here's the shard for the mama. Yep, she's here and she's angry. All right, if we hit a non-slow blood, we need to hit a well or a 1 blood shard. And if we hit either of those, our Nightmares might be able to swing this with the little bit of buffering that it does. So everybody says, hey yo. I say hey yo. Ba dun dun da 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 da. Way yo. I say hey yo. Gonna light you on fire. We could die here. We are we just dead to a second Yeti? No, we're not just dead to a second Yeti because we can go block, chump, go to 1. There are definitely a series of cards out of my opponent that kill us this turn, though. Whoa, if we get to our turn, though, this Crackling Bolt does 4 on the back of Yotul. Yep, that's fine. Dead to Crackling Bolt, dead to Fireball. Nope, that's not true. Dead to Double Fireball, dead to Fireball Burn. There's an AA Fireball now? Dead to Double Fireball, yep. Unfortunate. So close and so far away. I like the Burning Tendrils. Nightmares is great. Actually, we don't really do a whole ton of boarding in this matchup. I really like the Yodel deck. I think it's a lot of fun to min-max the amount of damage that you're taking in a game. Casualty of War is a card that we want to bring in here because of Mama Yeti. Very terrifying card. Go ahead and submit like this. There's a tendency among like I'm not gonna say actually it's among inexperienced players and mid-level players that people who are good at games like Magic and Hex that they should avoid playing decks like Yodel and Angus because these decks aren't good. And that's just not the reality. Like a lot of these decks are very powerful at what they do, and players that don't respect them and don't understand how to play with and against them are going to do poorly against them. And a lot of times people are like, "Oh, new blocker, it takes no skill to just take your cards and point them at my face, blah 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 blah." When really, if you're losing to these decks and you don't feel like they're giving you a chance to make any decisions, either one, you're not playing well, or two, the deck you're playing isn't good enough to be keeping up with them. And either way, that's on you. Your deck choice is on you, and your decisions while you play the game are on you. Yeah, it's all about, and I definitely think the Yodel deck has a little bit more. I enjoy playing the Yodel deck more than I enjoy playing the Angus deck because the Yodel deck has the minimizing and maximizing that you do with the Yodel deck on when you're using your champion power and getting like all the little extra points in is definitely less straightforward than the deck that my opponent is playing. That being said, I think the raw power level of what my opponent is playing is probably a little bit higher than what Yodel has going on. Yeah, I think the CCS has in Magic what I always refer to as Pro Tour syndrome, which is a lot of people think that, oh, this is the highest level of the game, so people aren't going to play quote unquote bad decks like Angus and Yodel because they're not good, and good players don't play decks like this, so there's less respect for them in events like that. Scorch was a 2 of in the board of the Angus deck that went undefeated in the CCS. So when I activated my champion power there, since we got an extra point here and an extra point here, so we got in the 2 minimum I like to have on activating that. Alright, Matriarch is very scary. Yodel's troops are just very good in matches like this. Never drawing a non-shard is very bad in a match like this. I guess we drew 1 Ghostblade, right? And activate this, do 2, do 3. And then we've got 3 points on board here, so unless he kills this, we've got him dead to a few different draws next turn. It is a tiny lawnmower. Crackling bolt, my guy, sure. I think we're just drawing dead at this point. With three shards in hand. Are there any? Yep. Yeah, we are just dead. Good games, opponent. Okay, we're gonna. I feel like we've hit the bad end of variance a couple of times here. Let's sign up for 1 more in the wood chipper with Yodel, and then maybe we'll play some Marshall Josephina. I think that deck's well positioned right now. I think it's a really natural inclusion to push Lasgard's Vengeance into Yodel, especially if you're playing the configurations that are playing the Bolt Spasms. Winter Moon, tasty. See, like this. We just like... I'm just gonna keep it. We kept it last time and it worked out. Our hand's full of damages in case. You've run into 3 decks with main deck Soothing Breeze. Vampire Kings are probably never going to be super high in price again. In the modern form of TCGs and Magic, like Magic and Hex, resource denial strategies are not very good because the cards to make those strategies good aren't printed anymore because those strategies aren't fun to play with or against in general. All right, look at that. How's it going, Stark? I seem to do all right in Modern. Oh, God, that's savage. Wow. Wow, that's really fucking good. All right, I guess I'll keep this one. Wow, that was rough. All right, I'm gonna hold this in my hand until I can play and activate it. Playing around Clash, that's a little bit brutal. Give me a second. Okay, still doesn't have counter magic up. They could combo kill me this turn, right? Or next turn, they could like do their Howling Breeze or whatever. Alright, so now I'm going to make a little bit of a liar out of myself, and I'm going to play this extra infusion device out here, because if my opponent clashes next turn, we still have them dead. Yeah, this is 4-8. Doesn't have the Harvest Moon. Sounds great. I guess they could have Verdict of the Ancient Kings here to not die. Okay. Okie doke. And you're dead. Alright. Probably want these Ember Spire Witches. Probably don't want these Burning Tendrils. Probably don't want these Cremates. Probably want these Burns in case they're on the Pathfinder control deck. I guess if they're on Pathfinder control, I might want a couple of Burning Tendrils, but I guess I could also have Fight Dinos out of the reserves. I think I'm just going to board like this for now and see how it goes. Again, I feel like this might be a deck that doesn't have Fight Dinos, and I'm probably just going to get savagely punished for thinking that and like leaving these in, but let's roll with it. Seems very good. There's the matchup against Angus. The Marshall Josephina decks have very strong matches against Angus, and we'll probably stream a little bit of that today if time allows. The Diamond or Diamond Splash, a second color decks. Marshall Josephina has a very high starting life total, and having a lot of troops allow you to clock your opponent while also having a high starting life total. This curve is really good. I get to go boop into boop into boop. It's the old boop 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 curve. Bippity boppity boops. I I don't believe you that a clunky 4 shard deck beats an average English beats the average English draws. That seems you have a medium starting life total and like your cards are just kind of clunk. And I would the Lasgar's Vengeance builds are definitely the norm now, I think. You can do both, Samtech. You can do either. You get cards just for signing up, and you can grind the free to play portion into stuff to play the actual competitive portion, or you can just put money in. All right. Even if he clashes me, even if they clash me next turn, I'm still okay with this. This is the Pathfinder control deck is what my opponent's playing. I'm fairly certain. Gonna get repelled here, I assume. Totem trapped, sure. Don't second totem trap me, bro. Sweet. All right, so this card did 4 damage. And again, what you just want to do in this deck is you want... Ooh, we're going to get comboed, aren't we? Yeah, this is just the Pathfinder control deck. Game is free to download. You can search for it on Steam or download it directly from Hex's website. So if he has Replicator's Gambit here, we're going to be in a little bit of trouble. If he doesn't have Replicator's Gambit this turn, we're going to be able to have Fireball up for when he eventually finds it. So let's see. They always have it. Yep. All right. Alright, how much damage is going to do this turn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 14. Is he really almost dead? Seriously? That's so annoying. This is, let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this is 6 because it does 3 plus 1 plus 2. That's 10. And this is 14. This is 17. Huh. Huh. So am I supposed to just put him to 1? And we're supposed to play the ebony pawn, the pawn out. I already played my shard. That's counting attacking with regular. So attack with regular is 2. Activate this is 4. Play this is 6. That's 10. Play this is 4. That's 14. Play this is 3 is 17. Put him to 1. Is put him to 1 better than playing the ebony pawn, we think? I mean, so playing the ebony pawn, the upside to playing the ebony pawn is if I draw a shard next turn, I get an extra damage this turn off the ebony pawn and an extra damage next turn off the ebony pawn. It's like I'm pushing more damage over time since I'm not killing him right away. So I think because I'm not killing my opponent this turn, I'm supposed to play the ebony pawn out. So we're definitely activating this. We're going to do this. And then we're going to do this. And then we're going to play this, which puts them to 8. And then this puts them to 6. And then my opponent's going to gain 4 off of his combo troop coming back into play next turn and go to 10. And then next turn, if I draw a shard, I will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if we draw a shard next turn, we can deal 12 to our opponent. They could have Verdict of the Ancient Kings here, or a Transmogrifate or something like that to interact with one of these troops. Verdict would be the most detrimental to us. They don't have Verdict, we have them dead to a shard. Burn. That does or does not kill my opponent. This does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points of damage. So we are 1 short on the burn. So we're just going to go ahead and pass the turn. It's only 14 points of damage my opponent has on the board, so they're not able to attack us for lethal, which is nice. Change course, sure. This card lets them look at the top 3 cards of their deck and puts one in their hand and the rest into their crypt. We're going to get to deal 2 at their end step and put them to 8, and then 2 on our turn and put them to 6, and then most of our draws kill them at that point. Okay, that gives them a second diamond in case they have immortality. Which, immortality is very good. I'm not sure we're beating that. Yeah, we're probably just dead to immortality. I'm assuming this is going to be attack with most of the stuff, probably all but like 2. All but 1. It's a little aggressive. I feel like the conservative play is leaving 2 of these back. Unless he has another blocker to deploy here. Has another blocker to deploy. Okay, that makes sense. They should just be dead here, I think, right? Yeah, I believe my opponent is dead. Let's find out together, shall we? Because this is 2, that puts them to 8. And then we do this. And we do this. And we do this. And then we play this. And then we do this. And then we hit you with Fireball. Opponent casually gained 12 and just wasn't enough. Alright. Yeah, I'm going to play one more with Yotul before we put Marshall Josephine. I like this deck. It's fun. It's a math deck. I'm a math guy. I like doing math. If you had another Harvest Moon, we could have got there. That's true. I'd like to go first. Kind sir or madam. Gosh, this hand is so close. I'd snap this off if this was a ruby shard. I like keeping 1 sharders. This hand's pretty reasonable. Yeah, I do have some Nova Blitz codes left. Let me pull up my spreadsheet. I like Yotul. It's a fun deck. It's powerful. It's good at punishing people that don't like to make mulligans. You want to sit in Dad's lap? All right. Yeah, my opponent in the previous match was playing a combo deck that put a bunch of different troops into play, like you saw. I'm just going to go ahead and pass back. This card doesn't need to attack. It simply activates or exhausts to deal 1 damage to each opposing champion. Alright, so he's leaving up resources here, which if I didn't have a second Whirling Brutalizer, I'm not sure if I want to just run one of these out here. If he had Burn, he might have just used Burn on the Duelist, so yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and jam a Brutalizer here. I'm not going to activate my Champion Power on the off chance he's going to kill this before it attacks. Could have a Burn that they've been saving. Nope, just nothing. Okay. You're very loud, child. So a scale of 1 to dead here. If my opponent plays like a Linoplause Sight out here, they're just dead. Please play Linoplause Sight. Okay. Ember Tongue Scarn, sure. Crackling Bolt, maybe? Crackling Bolt would make sense for a card that they didn't want to play on the Ghost Blade, but they'd be willing to spend on the Brutalizer. Transmogrifage, sure. Okay, I have a 2-1. You have a Bumblebot. So this turn, I think I'm going to Champ Power and Burning Tendrils through this. Yeah. It's possible I should save that shard for this Arena regular, but if we draw another shard next turn, we're going to be happy we played that out. So let's go ahead and Burning Tendrils this. We'll do 4 here and 3 to them. This will do 2, and then this will attack for 2, so they're going to be down to 8. Flickering Gobbler, that's pretty good. So this card is a 2-2 with Flight, Speed, and Rage 1. So every time this attacks, it gets +1 power permanently. At the end of the turn, if they didn't play an action, it gets sacrificed. But if they played an action, it goes back to their hand. So they got the combat training too? Okay, so they're not playing out the combat training, which means they probably have a burn in their hand. That being said, we are dead next turn, so I think we have to make them have it. They could have a Transmogrifate as well, I suppose. Aye! Burn. Wow, burning. Okay. Well, that was the incorrect. Okay, so my opponent made a little bit of a mishap here. If my opponent would have held that burn, they'd have... I guess Fireball changes things. If my opponent would have held that burn, they probably would have won this game. But now my Whirling Brutalizer is just going to kill them. Rawr. Rawr! Get brutalized! Rawr! Can you roar for me? Rawr! Yeah, good job, Jake. Good. Are you a tiny brutalizer? You want to brutalize your opponents? Alright, so this is the matchup where Burning Tendrils comes in, Burns come in, Heroic Outlaw comes in. When we bring in the Heroic Outlaw, we put speed and double damage on it. This card's really sweet. When your health is 5 or less, it gets -6 cost. So if your health is 5 or less, it's free. Just jam it on out. Oh, resume. Kind of like at least one Casualty of War. I'm not a huge fan of Crackling Bolt in this matchup. Ghostblade Duelist is medium because it just dies a lot of the time without getting any points of damage. Arena Regular, at least we can wait till we can play it on 3, so it plays out and gets a charge right away. Yeah, I think I'm going to trim the Crackling Bolt. So Fireball has the better upside of being able to kill their Flickering Gobblers in a pinch. I guess Cremate's not stellar. Yeah, I'm going to cut the Cremates, actually, before I cut the Crackling Bolts. These do more damage. Let's give this a go. Good morning, afternoon, and good night to everyone wherever you're at in the world. Thank you for choosing to spend part of your Thursday here with me. I always stream some Hex TCG. My name is Jeff Hoagland, and I stream Hex here on this channel usually 2 days a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. I was out this past Tuesday, and today's going to be a little bit of a shorter stream because if you haven't been by before, you probably can't tell I'm a little bit congested. The whole family's got a bit of a cold right now. Go ahead and play this infusion device out. This is unfortunately... requires an orc in order to make a blood or a ruby threshold, so we do need to draw an orc in order for this to really work for us. So this card gets larger every time my opponent plays an action. Alrighty, and we drew an orc. Perfect. Let's go ahead and play this. And then this card is just scary enough that I'm just going to go ahead and activate my champion power and try to kill this with a burn. Probably has some kind of protection here. Arcane Zephyr or something like that to save his troop. How many orcs do we play? We are on the greedier side of the orc count. I am only on 8 orcs. Actually, playing this out I think was wrong. So this card, Arena Regular, whenever we gain a charge, it deals damage to our opponent. So if I wait until I have the Arena Regular in play, this infusion device would deal a damage to my opponent. So I probably should have done that. Like if I draw a shard this turn, I could have gone this into that. Alright, so we drew another one, so that's not the worst. Let's go ahead and just play this out here. Unfortunately, this gives my opponent an opportunity to kill this before it can deal damage, but I still think it's worth it to just jam, use our resources. Yes, we are playing Wells. Seeing red's real good. Alright. We really just want to run off a few shards in a row here. Non-slow shards. Arena Regular. That's not going to do it. This probably has to block. Definitely has to block this 3-2 next turn if we have the option. And like, we had a shard, we Burning Tendrils this, and then maybe we stabilize with these infusion devices? Maybe? Its Well of Hatred is the Blood Well. Shard! Okay. That, yep. Just try to get that out of here. Halt! Alright, I'm dead. Yep. I think I'm just going to go ahead and submit. Let's just go ahead and submit. Halt is an interesting card. I guess it lines up okay against some of the Angus stuff. I'm not really sure if I like it in general. It's good and reasonable in this matchup. I guess we've got 12 targets for it post reserves. Countering Burning Tendrils is big game. Get to be on the play for this last game. So if we would have hit our shard a little bit sooner that game, we could have Burning Tendrils into the halt and then maybe had a chance to remove his thing. Yeah, that seems fine. Got some quick interaction. Skarn. Probably just Crackling Bolting that. The Crackling Bolt represents more damage in the long run than the burn does, but I want to have the burn in order to kill something like a Flickering Gobbler that's going to return to my opponent's hand. I want to maximize the amount of damage that my Whirling Brutalizer is able to deal, so I'm just going to pass here. I'm not just going to attack the Whirling Brutalizer into open resources here. Yep, you have a Flickering Gobbler. Not be surprised to get halted here. Here's the Arcane Zephyr, sure. Okay. Him protecting the Flickering Gobbler wouldn't have been too big of a deal if we had some other cards to work with, but Only 4 non-shards and 10 cards. Running a little bit slim pickings. Scale of 1 to dead here. Definitely sliding thoroughly towards the dead side of the scale. If we pick up another Brutalizer, that could be great. Arena Regular is not a bad draw, so we can play this. We play the Arena Regular. We play a Shard. It deals 2. We play Crackling Bolt. It'll deal another 2 for 6 total. Probably still just too slow in this race. I guess if we hit Infusion Device next turn, we could kill our opponent. We would do this, and then this would be 2, 4, 8 would be, no, we'd be short there still too. Yeah, I think we're just going to be too slow. Yep, GG's opponent. Few too many shards. All right, let's go ahead and